Right, welcome back to lab number 13 of AZ-700. This one is about Azure Firewall. So again, the lab instructions on GitHub have a nice kind of a diagram of the network architecture that we're trying to achieve here. And we are going to start off by creating a resource group for this lab. And we're going to call it the test firewall resource group. East US is going to be okay for us. And then we're going to create a virtual network. Okay, we're going to put that in our new resource group. We're going to name it the test firewall virtual network. And we're happy with the default IP addresses. We could just edit the name of the network to be the Azure Firewall subnet. We even need to change, I think we need to change this purpose here. And then we're going to make it a 26 from 10.0.1.0 onwards. Let's create another subnet for the actual resources. So that's going to be a 10.0.2.0 full 24. We're going to call it the workload subnet. That should be it. So let's create this. There we go. That's done. So let's create a virtual network, virtual machine for this. And we're going to use PowerShell for that. And we have some existing ARM templates. These are in the GitHub repo. So I'm just going to, I haven't downloaded here. Module 6. And here, the ones that we want to have is the firewall JSON and then the firewall parameters. Oops. So those should be there now. So now we can just run them. For the password, we're going to have a really good one. So now if we refresh our virtual machines, we can see that there is a machine created. And then let's just quickly look what its private IP address is. Here it's 10.0.2.4. All right, next up, let's create our firewall. So again, we're going to use our resource group here. We're going to name this the test firewall 1. We're going to use the standard SKU, good enough for our purposes. And then we want to use the firewall policy for this. It means that we're going to have to create a new one. It's going to be the test policy. The virtual network is the one already using. And we're going to need a new public IP address. And then we're not using Firewall Manager. So if we uncheck this, it'll also stop logging us. Yeah. All right, so let's create this. While the firewall is deploying, we should create a route to the virtual network that we have. So here we're using this resource group of ours. East US is okay. We're going to call it the firewall route. All right, that's done. Just wait for the user interface to update. Let's go to the resource. So this is our routing table. So now we can first of all associate this with the workload subnet that we have over here. And then we can create a route. Let's call this route FWDG, and the destination prefix is going to be 0000/0. So the internet. And then the next hop is a virtual appliance. And I'm just going to add 10.0.1.4 here and then change it if the IP address is different. Okay, then let's go take a look at our firewall policy. This one. And here we can add some application rules. Let's call this the app collection 1. Let's say priority 200. And we want to allow default application rule collection group. I'm going to add stuff like, allow Google. It's going to be from the subnet that we have, 10.0.2.0. On HTTP and HTTPS. And then we want to allow like www.google.com, right? So just as an example of kind of what to add. I don't want too many T's in here. There we go. And we could also add like a network rule. Let's call this the network collection. Again, 200 as the priority. Allow. Let's call this the default network rule collection group. And here we could add something like allow DNS So again, from 10.0 to 0.24. DNS is UDP, and destination port is 53. And then let's say we have some public DNS servers here, like 209.244. Oops. 03 and 209.244. Oops. 04. All right, so now I have a networking rule. I would also add a DNAT rule, so destination natting. Gotta fix that. Okay, let's call this one an RDP DNAT rule. So again, maybe 200, and let's put it in the default DNAT collection group. And what we want to do here is do a NAT for RDP. So from the internet, RDP is TCP on port 3389. Then what we want to do here is use the firewall public IP. And now what we can do is go to our firewall because it's been finished. No? Yeah, here's our firewall. It was 10.0.1.4, and then the public IP is this one. So it's 171, 172, 171, 192.205. And then the translated one is the work server. Right here. So that has a private IP address of 10.0.2.4. And then the port there should be 3389. All right, so that way we can do a DNAT. Let's go and take a look at our rules. We have our application rule, that's okay. The network rule didn't work. Yes, it did. And now we have our DNAT in place. Great. So then if we go to our work machine, we now need to change the default DNS server for this machine to use the actual IP addresses that we just had. Let's see if I go to the network interface and then DNS servers and then custom. I can add, what was it, 209.244.03 and 209.244.04, and then save that. All right, now we need to restart the server for this to work. There we go. Then let's open remote desktop. Okay. And now the way this works is because we created the DNAT rule, so the IP address that we're going to connect to is going to be the one of the firewall, right? That one. So we're going to connect to the firewall IP address. And we're going to go in as a test user. And so it works, right? And then the password was one of our choosing. And now this actually works, right? So we're connecting to the firewall IP address, and then it forwards that to our server. And now what we can do is we can go to www.google.com. And that works, right? Remember, we had that in our firewall. Whereas if we would go to www.microsoft.com, no, that doesn't work, right? Because the firewall is not allowing that through. And for DNS, it's actually using those IP addresses that we are setting up. So that's it for this lab. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you learned something new, and see you in the next one. Till then.